está fora do Brasil.
We are out of Brazil, and in my case, we are in Costa Rica. And I really, miss having a funded citrus there because we do not have that type of support. All the work that you mentioned has to be done by a private company. So costs are really similar with what you mentioned. The cost of graining, 17% of our total cost, external actions, 1.5% of our total costs. But this work of convincing, this convincing work and everything you have done, you have to acknowledge that is something singular. So let's talk a little bit about our case in managing graining in Costa Rica. Ticofrut has 10.5 thousand hectares with the direct collaborators and many jobs created. We have people in transporting and harvesting. It is an important socio-economic company in this region. North of Costa Rica and south of Nicaragua is a region where we are really important. The company has this own structure of logistics and terminals. And also we have a terminal in Tampa for supplying orange juice. And also we have processing for orange and pineapple. So let's go straight to the point. Incidence of plants eradicated every year. This work started in 2011 when we found the first plants infected in Costa Rica, less than 1, and then here 0012, 0016. But then what happened as of 2015? There was the new management at Ticofrut, when we started to inspect 100% of plants. So yesterday, some of you, I think Marcelo asked, what about Costa Rica? Do we have management? Well, in the past it was kind of ecological, and yeah, it's true. So up to 2015, like in 2011, we would inspect every row, one row every 4. And then there's 2013, like 50%. And then as of 2015, we have inspection of 100% of plants. We are no longer having 4 inspections a year, but we are instead performing 3 inspections. And we invest more resources into spraying. So I'm going to repeat what those that came before me said. So we know what we have to do. It's not a recipe, but we know what we have to do, right? So this incidence of plants eradicated, accumulated to the end of 2017, is of 0.12%. The distribution of this plant detection that is positive is seen starting in August. So we have to understand now the flyer, thinking about the colitotrichum, taking place we are thinking about the winter and the starting of rain. So this dry time is when we have more stress in our growth, and then we have a better detection now in this semester of positive plants. The management adopted as of 2015 is this. We have quality nursery plants and fertilization. It's not a cocktail or anything like that. We have fertilization according to the need of the plant, the potential of the plant. Something really important is for you to take care of drainage in the tropical areas. If we do not have proper drainage, then you have yellow-eyed plants. So here, you have plants that if some time of the year cannot reach, they just eradicate that, okay? So the management as of 2015, according to the 10 Commandments, include, well, this is an advantage for a nursery plant. So 2010, the production of a nursery screened nurseries, and that helps with the figures. There is no law There's no standard enforced in the country, but the company already works with screened nurseries, and we can capacity to produce 1 million rootstocks, plants, and then we start to work with roots, with substratum and media. So we used a lot of what we already had there. Populational dynamics for psyllid. We can here see when we changed the management. Up to 2015, we would work with release of Tamarixia internally within the farm. We would control some plots called hotspots. That was the management. And results should be different today. But then as of 2015, we intensified everything with this program. And then we follow the schedule. Well, it all depends on the plot. Sometimes we do one every month, one every 15 days. After you prune, it's weekly. So that varies from plot to plot. The molecules we work with in spray-ins, well, few chemical groups, some new ones are starting to be used. Everything that has been presented in the morning today helps a lot in this strategy for management, for sure. The incidence of psyllid in traps, we also use trap for all farms. We are here, one trap is distant to 200 meters from the other. We have a weekly inspection. And if you see here, 2016, May, so we also respect the occurrence of rainfall, of stress, and then shooting. And that happens also in external plants. So this is a psyllid peak that is explained here, as we said before, according to shootings. In 2018, it was a little bit advanced. We had the rainfall mid-April that was not expected. But also we have a concentration here in the second semester of a second flush that is important and we have to take into consideration. Regional inspection and eradication of plants. First year, we went through a radius of 2 kilometers around the farm, and then second year 4-kilometer radius, and now we are in a census with the scan every 100 and 400 meters, going through everything. The figures that I'm going to present here, I'm sorry, this is Spanish, but here I have the amount of plants that are eradicated since 2015 to 2017 in Costa Rica. So 34,000 plants. Here we do not have growers. This is like a backyard, pasture, same conditions that we have here. So out of the 34,000 plants, when we say symptomatic, it's positive. So 3% were positive, that is, had symptoms. Out of the 3% of the 1917 plants, today we have eradicated 663. That is 70%. So we still have 31% pending, that is to be eradicated. And then we pass on the task to the government. We have a list with geographical coordinates, and we say, listen, these are the plants that we cannot eradicate. So the acceptance of neighbors, it's different, but also the approach is different. Here, sometimes on the citrus will approach people. Sometimes you go there as a company and you knock at someone's door, and it's a person that you just, fired, a month ago. So they have the power, right, in a situation like that. So we work on the eradication of asymptomatic plants. 8% is not much, but we go on trying. Same strategy. You want a nursery plant, you want 2 nursery plants for avocado or mango, you want a gate. What do you need? So we hear them and we come up with the information to try and come to the 100% of eradicated plants, be them positive or negative. In Nicaragua, a smaller number of plants that were surveyed, but it's the same 3% of positive plants out of those, the total. We are talking about 10,000 hectares in a concentrated way. We have 6,400 plants surveyed. So the trend is for contamination outside the farm. We were able to eradicate 70%, 75%. We still have 25% pending. The government there is different from that in Costa Rica, but you're trying to see how to perform work hand in hand with them. We have twice as much eradication of plants that are negative. So 17% of negative plants were eradicated. An example here, where orange trees serve as shade, and this is a typical situation we find there. Same thing again. There, Mandarino lemon, that is our rank per lime. In fact, it's most complicated thing to convince them to eradicate that lemon, or lime rather. It costs a lot of efforts. So a strategy adopted as part of the management is production of tamarixia. What Professor Paja mentioned this morning, he is 100% correct. That is the way to produce. It's a different situation. The system that we have there is very efficient, but the conditions are different in terms of temperature, humidity. So we see here that in 2014, the production was of 2,700,000, and then 2017, 2,256,000 individuals. So we had a peak here in March 2017. We produced 900,000 a month. In May, this number went down almost to zero. And it coincided with the fact that the lab was close to the plant, and then biomass boiler started to operate for generating power and steam. So the ash or sawdust from the boiler went, together with the wind to the lab, and then it destroyed our production of tamarixia. We couldn't find a nymph to continue the cycle. So as of May 2017, we went almost down to zero, and we started to increase that again, because we tried to find a place for a new lab to be built within the farm. We could not inactivate a boiler of $10,000 to $1 million, I don't know. So last year, a new project, a project for 500,000 tamarixia a month. And we had to build that because of what I just told you, so that we could go on producing tamarixia. The government would not produce it. We do not have a fundus citrus there. I insist. Once again, it's up to the private company to do everything. But tamarixia, as of 2015, started to be a strategy in the regional management. So it's like flooding of cities and areas where we cannot eradicate. So the first is for you to try and eradicate plants. If we cannot do that, that's spray. Spray is not successful. Let's just flood it with tamarixia. This is an image, an aerial image. Almost all this area is used to keep the myrtle plants, where we have those small plots to produce the tamarixia. But the climate situation, or the climatic conditions, allow us. This is what I would like to share. And now I am available for questions if you have them. Thank you.